Hi Seahawks, it's Mrs. Glenn. Welcome to the 2.2 multi-step equations. So the first three rules that you're going to remember whenever you're solving multi-step equations is to distribute if necessary. So that's if you have parentheses. Combine any like terms and then solve the equation for the variable you're looking for. All right, so let's draw our line to separate the left from the right side. There we go. And we're going to see if we can combine any like terms. So I see right here, this 9x has the same variable as this negative 7x. Whoa. And this positive 1 is the same as this negative 5, and meaning like terms. So we're going to combine the 9x and the negative 7x. So 9 minus 7 gives us 2x. That is really bad, Mrs. Glenn. There we go. And a positive 1 minus 5, so it's the same as 1 minus 5 would give us negative 4. And then we're just going to drop down the negative 20 because we didn't do anything with that. Remember, we want everything to be on the same line. Let me see if I can move over. Nope, I can't. Never mind. All right, so then we're going to deal with anything that is adding or subtracting. So you're going to add 4 on both sides to get the 4 over to the other side. And then that leaves us with 2x on the left-hand side. What is going on? Oh, my bracelet is reacting to my tablet that I used to write on. Sorry about that. All right, so 2x, and then negative 20 plus 4, which is negative 16. And then to get x by itself, we would do the opposite of multiplying, which is dividing. We're going to divide by 2 on both sides. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Which leaves us with x on this side and negative 8 on this side, because negative 16 divided by 2 is negative 8. All right, next slide. 91 equals negative 7 times 3a minus 1. So we're going to distribute this negative 7 into everything that's in the parentheses. So negative 7 times 3a would give us negative 21a. Don't forget to draw your line like I just did. And then negative 7 times negative 1 is a positive 7. And we're going to bring down everything so that's all on the same line. So now we're doing anything that's adding or subtracting. So we're going to get rid of that 7 by doing the opposite. We're going to bring down our negative 21a because we didn't do anything with that yet. And then 91 minus 7 is 84. And then we're going to divide by 21 on both sides. So then that leaves us with a equals 4. And now we have a couple things we have to distribute first before we can start trying to solve for x. So when you see a parentheses that has a number in front, that's easy, right? We just know to distribute that negative 3 into everything. But when you see a parentheses with no number in front, if this is a minus sign right here, you actually need to put a little 1 right here because negative 1 is being distributed into everything inside the parentheses. So it's important to remember that even though the number is not here, that negative 1 needs to be distributed into everything. So if we have negative 3 into this parentheses, we get negative 3k. Negative 3 times negative 8 gives us a positive 24. Negative 1 times k gives us a negative k. Negative 1 times a positive 5 gives us a negative 5. And I'm going to copy down the right-hand side so everything is on the same line. So now we have a couple things that we can combine. We can combine this negative 3k with this negative 1k. And if it helps, you can put a 1 here so that you know what you're doing. So negative 3 minus 1k. So I know this is minusing because if I were to move these two over next to each other, this is what it would look like. So if you were to do this like separately, and this helps your brain know how to do this and keep it organized, then write it on the left-hand side and then just put it back on the line that you're working on when you're done. So negative 3 minus 1 is negative 4, okay? And then you've got a 24, and we can write it on the side if that helps, and a minus 5. So 24 minus 5 is 19. And then we're bringing everything down that we haven't done to the right-hand side yet. So you're going to do your adding and subtracting first. So we're going to do the opposite of plus 19, which is minus 19. And that leaves us with negative 4k on the left-hand side. 23 minus 19 is 4. And when we divide by negative 4 to get k by itself on both sides, you're left with k equals negative 1. So just remember, this is a little tricky. If you don't know what to do with this, just make sure that if this is minus in a parentheses and there's no number here, you need to distribute that 1 into everything before you can start. All right, next one. We have some distribution to do before we get started. So anything times a half is the same thing as dividing it by 2. So 1/2 times 10x is 5x. And 1/2 times negative 2 would just be negative 1. And then we're just going to tag on the right-hand side that you haven't done yet, and the left-hand side that we haven't worked with yet either. Whoa, that's supposed to be a 5. There we go. All right, so we have a couple things we can combine on the right-hand side. 5x and 3x gives us 8x. And minus 1 we didn't do anything with yet, and neither did the negative 25. So now we're going to add 1 on both sides, leaving us with 8x. Negative 25 plus 1 is negative 24. And then we divide by 8 on both sides, and that leaves us with x equals 3, negative 3. So again, if you wanted to do this to the right-hand side just to show you how it's the same thing as dividing by 2, is if you take 1/2 and you multiply it by 10 over x, you get 1 times 10, which is 10, and 2 times x, which is 2x, and 10 divided by 2 is 5, and then the x is just right there. So the same thing as 5x. Same thing for the 1/2 times negative 2. So you do 1/2 times negative 2. Remember, you can put it over 1. So you have 1 times negative 2, which is negative 2. 2 times 1, which is just 2. Negative 2 divided by 2 gives you that negative 1. So it's just a shortcut way of having to multiply by a half. It's the same thing as dividing by 2. All right, same thing here. Distribute in before you get started. So draw your line. So negative 6 times 2x gives you negative 12x. Negative 6 times your 5 gives you negative 30. Bring down your 10x that you haven't done anything with yet, and your 20 that you haven't done anything with yet. So 10x minus 12 is the same thing as 10 minus 12, which is negative 2x. Haven't done anything with the negative 30 or the 20. Make sure it's all on the same line. So now you're going to do the adding and subtracting. So you're adding 30 to both sides. Cancels out. Drop down your negative 2x. This turns into 50 when you add them together. Then we're going to divide by negative 2 on both sides, leaving you with x equals 50 divided by negative 2 is negative 25. So x equals negative 25. 11h minus 2h minus 1 equals 118. Same thing here. We see that negative outside the parentheses. So first thing you got to do is distribute that negative 1 into everything. So let's draw our line. Whoa. There we go. So negative 1 times 2h turns into negative 2h. Negative 1 times negative 1 turns into a positive 1. Then I bring down the 11h that I haven't done anything with, and the 118. These two can combine. 11 minus 2, 11h minus 2h is 9h. Bring down our 118. Now we're going to do the adding and subtracting. So we subtract 1 on both sides, leaving you with 9h equals 117. Then we're going to divide by 9 on both sides. And 117 divided by 9 is 13. So H equals 13. All right, the word problem. A class is raising funds to go ice skating at the rink at Campus Martius in Detroit. The class plans to rent one bus. It costs $150 to rent a school bus for the day, plus $11 per student for admission to the rink, including skates. Identify the variable in this situation. So because they are dealing with skates or with students in this situation, it's actually the students. We're going to use S for the variable. So S is going to be the number of students. Where did it go? There we go. Whoa, had a little bit of a delay there, so I didn't write it down. Number of students wait for it. There it is. So number of students is going to equal S. And then it says the class raised $500. Write an equation to match the situation. So we know that it's going to cost $150 for the bus, plus each student has to pay $11. So remember, if each student has to pay that, that's the variable attached to it. So 11S. And they raised $500, so that's the total amount that they raised. So then it says solve the equation to determine the number of students who can attend the bus. So I'm going to rewrite this down here. Draw my little line. We're doing the adding and subtracting first. That doesn't have the variable, so we're going to subtract 150 on both sides, leaving you with 11S equals 350. Then divide by 11, which equals 31.8. And this is asking for the number of students that I can attend. So obviously you can't have 0.8 of a student, which means approximately 31 students can attend the field trip. Because you can't round up to 32, because if you go to 32, it's going to go over our $500 amount that they say they raised. So 31 students can attend the going to the ice skating rink. All right, and that is the last one.